Welcome to the final episode of season 5. Wow. So in this episode, we will have a general catch up, see what everyone's training and nutrition looks like. And I think we'll go a little bit into refeeds and diet breaks and also different ways of tracking your nutrition. So Andy's been chasing buffalo. It seems that's your cardio these days.
Honestly, it's mental.
That's cardio.
We haven't fixed the fence for like 4 days because the fence goes away, which is probably a good thing because it means I don't have to keep repairing it. Because every time we fix it, the following day there's buffalo back in the garden. But the one 2 days ago was the biggest buffalo I've ever seen, and it was hurtling through the garden, being chased by the dog. I was like, oh no, I don't want to get in where at. But it was one that, when they get really big, they start going grey. A bit older, they're not like black anymore, they go grey. It was one like that. And we had KWS running around the garden one day with rifles looking for a baby buffalo. They didn't ask, they just came in.
Oh, okay.
Jeez.
I did say to them, it'd be nice if you just at least beat your horn. Stop me from shooting you.
Yeah, exactly.
Apart from that, it's all been good, I don't know, it's got worse since the safari rally. So I think normally a buffalo on the other side of the ranch, because of the rally, we've moved this side.
Yeah.
There's also been ditches dug to stop buffalo crossing certain bits. So I don't think they can get back to where they want to be. So they see my place, that's some nice grazing.
Yeah, this looks good.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, don't steal my horses grazing. And so we just come in looking for water as well. It's starting to dry up now.
Oh,
yeah.
Shame.
Okay.
So how's training and nutrition at the moment? How many weeks out now? It's not.
I am 10 weeks out today.
Wow.
Jeez, you have a lot of time.
I'm at that point where I look like I train a little bit now.
Yeah.
When you're off season and you just don't look like you train. So like 8 weeks is that sort of nice spot, but 10 weeks is I'm getting there. It looks like I'm looking a lot better now. Yeah, it's good. Nutrition wise, I've been in a constant deficit, losing weight, lost 20 odd pounds already, so 25 I think.
Wow.
So we decided we're going to have a refeed 48 hours, because you need that sort of time period to get the hormones to get back on track, really. So we're having a refeed, but it's only really more carbs. Like I have quite low carbs.
Yeah.
So we've gone from 175 grams of carbohydrates on average to 350 for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, more rice for you.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. It's not like everyone I tell a refeed, you have a burger. It's like, no. I'm actually gonna add potatoes.
Yeah.
That's it. I make some air fried chips and stick them on top of the rice.
Yeah, nice.
That's it.
Yeah, I'd go for potatoes. Yeah.
Well, I guess
it's because I've had potatoes for ages. I keep them nice.
Yeah.
And you can when you air fry, it's just a nicer looking option. You don't feel like
it's better than I hate boiled potatoes. Like when I stop them. I like them. Like the only time I really like boiled potatoes is a bit of butter.
Well, exactly.
But like when you're in prep and all, you've got just a big pile of stodgy potato. It's horrible. But air fried chips, delicious, or even roast potato.
I always steal Clea's sweet potatoes when she's cutting, like now, because she makes them crispy. And well, I know they don't do much for my carbs, but they're tasty, so I always.
Exactly. There's a little bit about that. It's also a bit of a mental break having something you actually enjoy. I was saying I'm probably gonna save some carbs for some HP sauce. It's not a lot. One serving like 30 grams or whatever. And no, not that much, but 15 grams is one serving, and it's not a lot of carbs really.
No, I don't think it's much.
That's an extra 125 grams. Yeah, that's good room to enjoy some potatoes and sauce.
So have you had, is this, how many refeeds have you had, or is this?
This is first.
First one, wow.
Been hard at it since when did I start? May,
wow. Yeah, well,
Jeez.
it's,
Time does
I mean,
fly.
refeeds, for those who don't know, is just an increase of your calories, generally back up to your maintenance, your new maintenance. And again, from carbs. That's why, like, Andy said, you don't go for the burger because that's pretty high in fat.
Yeah, I've got to rebalance all my fats today and stuff. See, I'm really, my fats are really straightforward. I add fat back to all food. So I have lean meats, and then I get a teaspoon of olive oil or mac nut oil and stick it on the top. So I don't want to change that because that's simple. And then the protein is constant as well. So yeah, no.
It's like you see, say, like on IG. I know most people are on IG, and you see refeeds, and then it's burgers and pizzas, and
Yeah,
I think
it's not a cheat meal or whatever you want to call it. It's very strategic.
it's a planned one. Yeah, it's not it's not just a burger. You're like,
There's a difference between a cheat meal and a proper refeed. Yeah, I think cheat meals are more mental than they are. They're not better for your physique.
Yeah.
Cheat meal, but the mental break is good for your physique, or can be, especially if you're someone who needs a cheat meal occasionally, because to prevent stress, and being burnt out.
And then I guess that change in mood, and it's food also does well for guys' moods, and you see a food you enjoy, and there's that energy and I guess happy hormones, and you're just happy to eat it. So yeah, it's like you say, cheat meals are just more
Yeah, so there's a place for cheat meals, but structured refeeds are probably better.
Yep.
They're definitely better for your physique if you're in something like prep or you've got a short time window. Because there is a lot that could go wrong with a cheat meal. Well, with some of my clients, I give them a week off, just high calories, and say enjoy your food. Take a week off, because it's not a time. They're not trying to lose weight in a short period of time.
It's more like
it's a constant change.
Yeah, and I mean, refeeds, there's all sorts of different studies on whether they're on whether they're actually effective. And again, it's generally even 1 to 3 days, I would say refeeds are, but it is best to do more than one and make it back to back to really increase your carbs, which does just help with, your hormones, with thyroid, particularly for women, just bringing that back up. I mean, it would probably be better to do a full-on diet break if you wanted to really maximize just bringing up your health markers a bit in terms of hormones and thyroid. And a refeed again is also psychological. And whatever makes you adherent is key. And because he's been doing this since May, this is his first refeed. So everyone is different. Geez. Some people will have them, every 3 weeks. It's so individual. The same with diet breaks. Some people do 2 weeks on, 1 week diet break, or 3 weeks deficit, 1 week diet break. It's all very individual, but the research hasn't shown it to be sort of the ultimate in like maintaining muscle mass and preventing metabolic adaptation. Nothing can prevent metabolic adaptation. That is going to happen, but you can mitigate it.
No, I think more with prep, it's about not running into a show flat as well. Every so often, increasing with your glycogen stores again. So, because once you are flat, it becomes quite a hard challenge to. When you're really flat and super lean, it becomes hard to refill glycogen, because your body then just wants to, it doesn't want to absorb it. It just goes through you. It's hard to refill.
Yeah, because guys assume you fill up glycogen in a day or two, especially. I think it's a mistake a lot of bodybuilders make, and it's like, I'll just carb up for a day and expect to be full on show day.
Some people can, and that's a problem. We see like some pros do it and it works.
Yeah.
It's about finding what works for you. And I think that's why it's always good to come in quite early and then do a couple of test peak weeks.
Yeah.
For a show.
And then I guess it also depends if you're natural or not, or if you're using it.
Definitely. I think like with me, I think we tried to before with Ollie, I've done 2 different approaches.
Yeah.
Yes. One was to go 2 days heavy on carbs, and one was to do it actually just across a week. And across a week worked better for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
That's interesting. We've lost you, Andy. The buffaloes run over your your cable. But again, some people, not so much with refeeds, but diet breaks, which is a week of bringing up your calories to your new maintenance, again from carbs, find that kind of puts them off. Like they get, it just sets them back mentally. They find it really hard to get back into the deficit. So, I mean, I've done a few diet breaks and it is hard. I prefer refeeds because that's just 2 days generally. You're back, Andy. We're just saying the buffalo ran over your cable.
It's on satellite, that's half the issue.
Okay.
I don't know where it is. It's like Sunday.
But it's also been
Supposed to be one of those days.
Yeah, it's been weird here also.
Yeah. I was just saying that some people find diet breaks hard to come back from. Like it just knocks them off track and out of that deficit mindset. And again, it can be a bit of even refeeds, unless that of course your weight is going to spike because you're eating more carbs. So if you remember from the carb episode, you're going to store more water with glycogen. I think it's 3 grams per gram of glycogen. Yeah. So of course your weight is going to spike, and that can really be a mental roller coaster for some, but it always comes back down. And no, I do like refeeds.
Yeah, and this is why people should get made to scale weight. It is a biofeedback tool. It's not, the biggest biofeedback. The biggest one is how your body looks. I always say to people, and I said this to clients, they say, how do I know when I'm lean enough? I say, how do you feel? Are you happy with the way you look?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not always easy if someone's has the negative opinion of themselves, or have body dysmorphia issues. But generally, you can find the sweet spot where before you're too lean. It's not like everyone follows people online, and there's so many people, lots of competitors online, and they think that's how you've got to look all the time.
Yeah.
When in realistic terms is, find what you're happy with, and then that's when and then you start building back up from that. But people shouldn't get obsessed. I was talking to one client the other week. She went off on holiday to Dubai with her sister who's pregnant. I said, just have a week off, just enjoy it. Enjoy Dubai, keep active. Got your kids there, follow them around. Go to Legoland, the water park. Enjoy that. Enjoy your time there. It's not like you're there all the time. So eat the food, enjoy yourself. It's a break. Yes, your weight will go up, but unless you are caning it, because this person undereats normally anyway. I'm like, if you've got to have 3,500 calorie surplus put on a pound of body fat, on average. So realistically, as long as you don't go absolutely nuts and move into the Cheesecake Factory, you should be all right. Because you're active. You're being active. You're swimming. You're walking around. You're doing some shopping.
Yeah.
You're busy.
I think those are the two main things you deal. I guess coaches deal with a lot when it comes to clients. It's the protein intake. It's always never too high, and using the scale to, I guess, to gauge your progress and how you feel, most clients seem to put all that into the scale. Like if my weight is up, it's a bad day. And you forget that it's just more than that. It's how you feel, mindset. Are you enjoying your training, food, just being nourished? So
that's the thing. I think it's actually enjoying it. Are you enjoying where you are? It's like, and that's the thing. That's why a lot of people, want to lose weight or add muscle. They want to feel, they want to enjoy what they're doing at the same time. They want to have that confidence.
Yeah.
But if you tie yourself to that scale, you're kind of defeating your main objective of feeling good and confident.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite is when I check in with my clients, who are mostly women, and they'll have a refeed and either like weight spikes, but they're like, I understand that, it's not bothering me, or their weight goes down. Sometimes that does happen, because you're reducing, like Andy said earlier, your stress. And if you remember the podcast with Taryn, how stress can really affect you. So it is fascinating, and it is always, for me, so gratifying when clients can use the scale just as to piece the pieces of the puzzle together, and and just see it as a tool, because I find it as a coach a very useful tool, because it helps me kind of see what's going on with them. But I do encourage clients to just be like, okay, my weight went up, take a step back and ask why. And then it's really interesting.
And with women, it's really hard anyway. Like scale weight is up and down, time of the month, water retention, stress, family stress. This is why I often, I have a couple of clients who can't send me check-in photos. So we do tape measure every week on certain body parts, right? Weekly measurements. And it's great to see that like the measurements change, but the body weight may not fluctuate massively. And it's realistically, it's like, so there's two sort of waist measurements, one the widest part and one the narrowest part. And you see those change when the legs get a little bit stronger and bigger, but like when the waist is coming, and you're like, look, that's just showing you your body is changing to how you want that to change. That is what your goal was. That's what's happening. Don't worry so much about the scale. We use it. I like to use the scale just to see, like, how things like stress affects the scale weight. And over time, you can then say, right, we know you've had a really busy week at work, whatever. We know historically that your weight will go up 1 or 2 pounds when these things happen. So we know this, so we don't need to panic. It is what it is.
Exactly. So how's your metabolic condition training going?
Oh, geez, I'm glad. No, it was a small 4-week break, but.
So why did you decide to do it?
First, it was for psychological purposes, most of all, because I'd been on push-pull legs for about maybe 1.5 years, because we did started with upper lower with DeFranco, and then went into, well, I decided to take steps back. So I stopped doing pro splits, the chest Monday, leg Tuesday, like single body part. So took steps back about 2 years ago, started upper lower half the year, then moved to JP push-pull legs, and we've been on it for about 1.5 years. So changing to the 8x8, it was just three, 4 exercises, low volume, low weight, but it was just the high volume on the compound. And for me, it was just more psychological than anything first. Just that break, that change, different training, trying out different exercises, and just to get out of the sort of routine. But my eating didn't change. It was just the training. And secondly, I also felt like I was getting to that part where I was beat, like I was pushing myself too hard, and I do take breaks and deloads, but it just felt like it wasn't enough. So
once you got stronger on most of your lifts, there comes that point where you're just bullying yourself through sessions. I've been there recently. It's like every session's horrible. You finish, you feel like you've been hit by a truck. Mm-hmm. By the end of the week, when you get to your rest day, you barely get out of bed in the morning. And that's why you do need to take a step back occasionally. And like it's hard when you're in like prep or you do it, but when you've got a bit of time, you should definitely do that.
And for me, when a push day becomes like the same mindset as a leg day where I'm going to the gym and I'm like, do I just take another day break? And, and then, Clea is like, just do it. Even if it's a set each, like a devolume, just do a set push. And when it gets there, I know like, okay, now I'm tired. I'm getting tired. But after the rest, usually it's better, but this time it just felt like I really, and I've pushed myself, even when training with JP, we worked at strength went up, weight has gone up nicely. Did a small recomp and cut with him, and the shape is there. So it's not like I wasn't working hard, but yeah, it was more, I'd say more for the psychological part, and then just accumulated fatigue. And
I was going to say, accumulated fatigue, you've got to listen to your body. And there's actually something like last night, I was meant to do, what was I going to do last night? A push session. And I said like to myself, actually, I'm just too tired. I was falling asleep in the chair. I was like, I'm not going to do it because I'm just going to injure myself. So I'll take that as my rest day and move everything around a little bit. But because you do have to listen to your body. There's so, you get injured when you don't. You're going to, beat yourself up, then go into the gym tired or with a lot of fatigue, a lot of cortisol building up. Your central nervous system's on its last legs. Well, that's a bit dramatic, but you get
But yeah, it was good, and the 8x8 was Clea's idea because it was a point where I was going to take a month off and just be like, you know what, I'm like take a month off, stick to maintenance. But she's like, yeah, just do an 8x8 and then two accessories. I was feeling like I could get a bit fitter, lighter, fitter.
But that's also a point of doing sort of a metabolic block. You're training different systems.
Yeah.
And it's they all carry over and help each other. So if you do a sort of metabolic block, it will help with your strength training because your body is just more efficient at regenerating ATP. So that's kind of the sort of thought process behind that, as well as the psychological. And 8x8 is brutal.
Yeah.
So that it's 8 reps, 8 sets with only a 45-second break.
Yeah, which I started off.
Yeah, it's essentially cardio weights.
Yeah,
but,
it is.
But I started it wrong because I was used to, high intensity RP 9 and, onwards. So
I used to do a lot of German volume training.
Yeah.
10 by 10. But that is that's like high intensity as well.
But she hadn't told me it's 45 seconds rest.
I did.
All right. Maybe it just went over. So
and I'm like, start with a weight that you could do 12 reps with. That's how you do it. And because the first set is easy.
It's just 8 of 8. Oh my gosh. By 3 hours, I decided to change the program on the first week and made it like a descending set because I'd already messed up because the weight was too heavy. Third set, I'm like, this, and it's like we said, it's very psychological, and it's like, I'm like 80, 80 is killing me with the 45 seconds rest, but now it means I have to go lower. And by the time I was finishing, I was doing a 70, 68 to 70, and I'm like,
for what?
For the 8x8 reps and getting of the press, like it's a press. So
you just throw numbers out there because they sound good.
Yeah, just bicep curl.
Yeah, I'm assuming everyone follows my Instagram. Sorry, but yeah, it's it was humbling to do almost 30% of what I'm usually used to doing, and it was challenging. It was good. So.
Yeah, and you don't need to do it for weeks and weeks. I think
I'm done.
Like 4 weeks of that kind of training because it's also hard.
Yeah.
And wouldn't recommend that if you're in a cut. I think you need, like we were saying in the cardio episode, like that kind of training, you need your calories, your carbs fuel to be up there. You need your fuel because otherwise you will definitely run out. And the whole point is to improve your efficiency. It's not for I mean, you actually did lose weight because it is
I did
not that you were trying.
But just usual recomp, and then since it's off season, I still enjoy my bit of my chocolate, and like it wasn't my my nutrition was still there, but it's not like I was really trying to cut but
Yeah.
it just felt nicer being slightly fitter, and it was just different.
That's the thing. It's like a bit more activity, a
Yeah.
bit better heart thing. I actually did for my cardio, played some touch rugby on Thursday instead, and it's quite
Oh,
nice welcome change. And
Yeah.
because it's something I enjoy and I'm actually decent at. So it's like, so you don't even notice it, like, when you realise you burn a load of calories and like,
Win-win.
Yeah, but after this week, I'm going back to getting killed by Clea. Well, after next week, taking a week rest and then back to push-pull legs with the program I've been on in JP, and just slightly different exercise selection. But
just keep a movement pattern and just change that exercise.
Yeah, no, I'm still going with the push-pull legs. Because I didn't do it as long as Leon before. I'm still, I can still push it, not feeling that fatigue. And so this is week 2 of my deficit, and I think I'm gonna have to cut my calories because my weight is still plateauing there. And it just shows that last time I started my deficit, my weight just went down, and that was having spent a whole year out of a deficit. And Taryn did a great post the other day that I don't think anyone wants to hear, is however long you spent in the deficit, you should spend double that time out of it. It is true. Like, I've only been out of it since February, and I can see that it's not as easy as the last time where I was out of a deficit for a year. I was hoping I could, lose some weight on higher calories, because I'm still on 2,000, which is pretty good. But it will have to go down. But I just think that, even the clients I work with, like, I always say I'd love you to be out of a deficit for 6 months. I mean, but for some people that's pushing it. But if that is the ultimate, double the time out than you are in.
I always say this, like, I'm a big fan of, like, you should do most of your year in a deficit, in a surplus. Out of the deficit. Sorry, that's good. Desperate. You need the extra carbs today to get your glucose to the brain. But no, so you want to be in a surplus most of your year. So you split your year into quarters. You do quarter, unless you've got a competition, then, maybe you then need to take a year off almost after that competition to grow.
Yeah.
But most people, like, it's, you split your year into quarters. You do quarter in a deficit, 3 quarters in a surplus. It's not. You throw different breaks in there to stop it from getting too monotonous. But but even a tidy up comes into that. A mini cut, unless it's a real true mini cut,
Mm-hmm.
Which you're not looking to get super lean. I say, generally, if you are someone who's been in a deficit for 5 months, you need to take the next year to grow. You may have a mini cut in there, but generally, you want your body getting all those calories again.
Exactly. And I mean, my plan was always to do 2 fat loss phases, and but I took a longer break in between, which was good, but it definitely shows. So when I finish this phase, it'll be at least a year at maintenance, and it's really, really important to do that. We'll go on.
It doesn't mean spending the rest of the year completely so much. You go up to our maintenance for a month, 2 months maybe, and then slowly edge it up, or you bring it up maintenance for a few weeks, edge it up and bring it back down to maintenance, edge it up, bring it back down to maintenance, do a new maintenance, and use it like a staircase, add muscle without getting carrying too much body fat. But
a lion! No, it's not a lion, it's the monkeys.
But maintenance is a good place to be, because I've been doing like maintenance in a range for the past few months, and I'm not looking to like bulk anytime soon, or even if it's a cut, maybe a mini cut, because with this year being the way it is and Corona competition, I'm just like, nah, mate, I'll save it for, because with travel now, you don't know if you're on the red list with whatever country. So I'm just enjoying maintenance, and it's like I guess we always say, it's a really nice place to be, and as long as you're able to stick to your nutrition, the 80-20 mindset, I guess. And
I love maintenance because it's a good amount of calories. Like for me, so it's about 3,100 ish. Because I'm keeping my steps in, and that's nice. It's a nice amount of calories. It's not crazy. It's not the 3,500, 3,700. Do my surplus in or even 4,000. So food's not too bad. At 3,000, I can nicely coast along. It's a nice amount of food for me.
Well, it's nice because you still feel hungry and like you're still enjoying food, whereas in the surplus sometimes you're just like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and each meal takes you 45 minutes to eat.
And there's still progress in training, so it's a nice place to be for sure.
Maintenance is underrated by people.
It's really great, and like Andy and I were just discussing briefly before the podcast how maintenance, or even if you are in a deficit, you don't have to be tracking on your MyFitnessPal or chronometer or whatever you use religiously, because you do need a break from that as well. And because a lot of people are like, oh, this is so tedious. Like, Andy's in a deficit and he doesn't track every day. He doesn't log every day, rather. So
no, I don't log every day.
Take us through how you do it.
Yeah, so I tend to keep to the same meals. So for me, it's easy. So when my calories change, I plan out my meals, and I'll log those. And I go, okay, so that is my low day, that's my higher day, whatever it may be. And then I will just keep to those.
Yeah.
I know what those meals are. So when it comes to eating, I eat those meals. And I don't need to log every day. I just go eat the same thing because it's just easier. So today it's going to be the first time I've logged in weeks, because we've made more lower days. My day. So have days.
Internet is bad.
2 days. So I know all those calories now, so I know what to eat and exactly the portions. And mainly it's rice that changes, the quantity of rice. Nothing else changes. So today I will log, because I'll have to think. I'll put in those meals because I've already saved them MyFitnessPal.
Yeah.
The same meals, we can add fried potatoes, and then adjust the quantities until it hits that little spot, 350, and then HV sausage. But that's the thing, if you're someone who likes variety of food and you're willing to chop and change, then you need to log every day. But if you're someone who will eat the same food on different days, you don't even have to have the same food every day. But like I said to you, like when you're a kid, your parents always had a certain day, like the Sunday roast day.
Yeah.
My breakfast growing up was always the same thing, always. I seldom, changed it. So, people can handle having the same breakfast. It's just like their main meal, their dinner, to vary, and that's okay. But just know what it is that, do it for a couple of weeks of logging, and go, right, so on that day, I'm going to have this meal. On Tuesday, I'm going to have this meal. On Wednesday, I'm going to have this meal. Thursday, I'm going to have this meal. Friday, this meal. And then save them on MyFitnessPal. And then once you just keep to that same pattern.
Yeah.
Not change the stuff at all.
Yeah, everything is saved, and it rarely changes. The rice is the rice. It's the same way you say. It's like I even have my like bulk menu sort of thing, and cut. So depending on what point I am in, I just go and click and add the meals for the day.
That's why I tell people use the recipes. They're like,
yes.
My wife's going to cook some food, or my mum, or whatever it may be. Okay, go sit in the kitchen while we're cooking and log the ingredients and say, how many people is this going to feed? I mean, you do that just the amount of servings. You just build the recipes in MyFitnessPal. Then, it becomes simple later because you have the same foods. You go, oh yeah, I've already got that. Because here's the thing: if someone cooks something, they cook it the same way nearly every single time. They rarely do people go, "Oh, I'm just gonna try something different today." The recipe. Once they've got that recipe, they know it's good. They keep to it. So just find out what's in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you start tracking, it's all very daunting, but it actually doesn't have to take that much time. You just need to do a bit of planning in the beginning. And create your sort of favorite meals in MyFitnessPal, because you generally, like we all said, you eat the same combination of 150 grams of chicken and 200 grams of rice. So it doesn't have to be complicated at all or time consuming. Like for me, it literally does not take time at all. But when you are starting, it is important to plan ahead. Track for a couple of weeks, and then if you are a creature of habit, you know what you're kind of eating, and that's where you want to be. And again, in maintenance, that's a great place to take a break from it. I quite like to track in a surplus just to make sure I'm eating enough.
I was to say, eating enough,
yeah. So yeah, that can often be a struggle for a lot of people, is track to make sure you're eating enough.
Well, I was talking to a friend this week who the guy I used to coach back years ago when we used to work together. And so he said he was at his fitness eggs. We go to the gym together, we go do sprint training together, even convinced him to play a rugby game once he destroyed his knee. But yeah, I know. Whoops. So when I was going through, I was like, "What injuries do you have?" He goes, "My left knee, but you know all about that." But no, so we were talking, he goes, he's never tracked anything. So I said, like, this week, they're not going to start. This week, he's away on work. I said, just play with MyFitnessPal. Track some of your meals that you're eating. Have a play so you start understanding it. He goes, yeah, and when you get home and you're with, your wife, Nicola, or his partner, she's not well, say to her, she cooks, and say, what are the ingredients? Let's log it early, And it is relatively straightforward, but I always encourage people before they start on the training program, spend a week just playing on MyFitnessPal. Track a couple of meals, and see that it's actually not that hard. It seems a lot more daunting, especially when you first get, you open it and there's like several different types of chicken to choose. Or there's like, and me and Clea were having this conversation. Like, USAD is, USDA or whatever is one of the best for like things because they're pretty set. Like, but also I tend to go to like with the British supermarkets because the legislation in the UK on what should go on the label is quite strict. So things like beef mince or chicken breast, I use Tesco's chicken breast as my go-to for a chicken breast. It's like more skinless chicken breast. Tesco's. There's nothing hidden there.
Yeah, but tracking is amazing because even with clients now who decide to sort of do it, after a while you realize they just do it. It's second nature, because one client was like, it just feels like that message you're replying to when you text a friend, because it's quick. You just know like it just becomes second nature. But it's
it take a couple of minutes to do your whole day.
Yeah. Because at first it does seem like, what the hell? You're just seeing food, calories, exercise, diary, but once they get it, it's just, it feels like
you can even copy previous days. You can even say previous copy from today. But it's that thing. It's like it looks more daunting than it is, and if it fits your macros, it gets a bad rep because people have done it wrong so much. It's not a case of trying to shoehorn things in. Occasionally, it's nice to have something. I've got an image saved on my phone. It's every calories in Krispy Kreme donuts and all the different Krispy Kreme donuts and what the different calories are. So I've got that on my phone. just something of interest. Yeah. But that's the thing. It's like I keep my food simple because I want my protein number to be protein from my animal sources, like my chicken. I'm not worried about the protein found in oats. It doesn't, but that's not, my protein always appears a little lower on my fitness now because it does take into consideration those things. But my main focus is making sure I hit my protein number on the chicken or beef or fish, whatever. Because, and then mix them out. But it is a good way just to understand what you are consuming. I think if it fits your macros, doesn't work because people are eating pizzas and considering the protein in the cheese and the pizza. It is protein, but like things like we've said before in the protein episode, vegetarian sources of protein have to be combined in a certain way to get enough amino acids. So just because it says it's 10 grams of protein, that's not 10 grams of available muscle building protein.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, tips when you are using MyFitnessPal is, plan your protein in first. And like Andy said, like that's what I'll do. So my protein right now is 160 grams. So I'll put in my meat or my whey until I've hit that. Then it'll go over because I'm adding in things like oats and nut butter. But, we just said those aren't bioavailable. So plan your protein in first, then add in, after I do that, I add in my non-negotiables. So I always have hot chocolate. I don't care. That goes in. Yeah. That goes in. And then I plan my carbs and fats around that, and if you do that, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, so
same with your week. Sorry, I was going to say, same with planning your week. If you've got non-negotiable activity, like be it like dinner with mates, and if you're doing your own planning of what calories you need a week, put that into MyFitnessPal first.
Yeah.
See what calories that come to. Then go, right, so for me to lose weight this week, I've got to be in a surplus of 3,500 calories, say, to lose a pound. So you put that in, then you work out your other days. So over the course of the week, your calories, your total calories are going to be in a deficit. So I think those non-negotiables, be it a glass of wine, are good to get in there early, be it like a meal out, if you look at the week as a whole.
Yeah. And we, always remember, like, so many people compare their sort of fat loss phase to bodybuilders. And it's, if you're not prepping for a competition or a photo shoot, you don't have to be that strict. You
can rush.
Yeah.
It's not a race.
Yeah.
It's not a race. And that's what I try to tell people. It's not, people think it should be a race because it's a race, but also when they take on coaching, a lot of people take on coaching with a short-term mindset, thinking, right, I'm going to do it for 12 weeks, lose some weight, then it's all going to be good, and do whatever. But the realistic thing is, those first few months of coaching is actually about learning good habits. It's about getting into the habits. And, then you finish it till 12 weeks, and that's when you really start to get things more interesting. Your program starts to get more interesting because you start to learn the basics now. You get those foundations. So there's a bit more play from the coach can be put in to make it a bit more interesting.
Yeah, because it's like every time either Clea or I put food on Instagram, the question I get is like, how do you guys eat so much protein in a day? And I think you guys have explained it very well. It's, your bioavailable sources, meats and whey, plus other, fats and carb sources which have protein. Because I get guys worried. They're like 270, 250 grams, 300 of protein. How do you do that? And that's a very good explanation for most guys who worry about hitting protein goals. And I guess from the protein episode, we talked about it's, there's protein that goes into muscle building and protein that goes into life. So if you're eating less, you'll find you're not making the most of the protein you eat in a day.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't even eat enough protein to be healthy.
Yeah,
yeah. It's not like it's kind of crazy where I know probably people that are 200 pounds don't eat 70 grams of protein. And like people who busy jobs, so they don't eat all day and then have a burger and fries for dinner. But actually, I was eating something yesterday. Do you know how much protein's in the McDonald's chicken nugget per nugget? 0.6 grams of protein. 0.6. Yeah.
Is that even chicken?
What is it? So
it's really low. But that made me think, right, so hit a good protein amount for a meal, I would need about 40 nuggets.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's insane.
And your heart will be complaining after that.
Oh yeah,
Daily.
All the other calories. That's
Wow.
like, yeah, so to even get like 20 grams of protein, you're
Gee.
gonna be eating like 30 odd nuggets.
But it's true what you said. I think a lot of people see protein and think muscle. They forget, brain, life.
Cells, yeah. All
And
cells need
muscle is,
protein.
it's the last thing your body is thinking about is muscle. It's everything else recover, and then whatever small percentage goes into muscle building.
Yeah.
So it's like you said.
And people get hungry, they don't realize, and we talked about this in the protein episode, that protein's slow to digest because the microbes are so much bigger than fats and carbohydrates, which means you're satiated. You feel fuller for longer. And that's what I always say to people. It's not even just about maintaining muscle or cell health, but you also want to feel fuller.
Yeah.
You don't want to be hungry, and there's nothing worse than that, And I've been there, where you maybe out on exercise and you're eating like, whatever's in your pack, and you hammer down a Yorkie bar to keep yourself going, or Mars bar or something. But within minutes, you're actually hungrier than when you started. Like, I need to eat now. And that's how, especially with me, that's how, in the police was a classic. You go out and you'd be so busy dealing with an incident or a situation, you wouldn't eat, and it'd be hours later, you go, I'm going to eat now. And you go to say, whatever's open. Or we used to go to a Sainsbury's a lot with a rotisserie section, and just buy like pieces of chicken, like chicken wings or thighs or something, and some potato wedges. But I would then get hungrier, and then you end up eating more.
Yeah.
Picking, going, I'm still hungry. I'm going to get this, get that.
Yeah, like last night I was hungry and couldn't be bothered to eat. So it's where whey protein is always a winner. And
whey and oats is, I always say to people, the best snack you can have is protein porridge, because when you make it, and especially if you make it thicker, it makes you feel fuller. And it's like some sort of weird magic. It's not like, I always think when it's a bit more, liquid in there, you eat it and it doesn't make you feel. But when you get it through some stodgy protein porridge, which tastes nice because of the flavour of the protein, and some berries or maybe a bit of dark chocolate, that feels a whole lovely, and it's got everything you need in there.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, it's just important to try and eat consistently throughout the day to avoid that kind of, eating nothing for hours and hours and hours and then feeling absolutely ravenous. And, that's part of the basics. And literally, if you ask most people, they're not getting that down. So it's like, work on those first.
That's the thing. People are, I'm so busy. It's like, this is something I always say to clients. If you are busy, you need to set alarms on your phone to remind yourself to eat. Because what's going to happen is you're just going to get yourself, you're just not going to eat enough, and it's almost impossible then to eat enough in a day. And I always find this is true with parents, stay-at-home parents who have kids, because as a parent, your kids' needs always come first. And I'll always eat after I've made sure Kaya's has food. So like on weekends when there's no staff around, I'll make their food, then I'll make my food. But for some people, there's they do that, they make the kids food, and they do go sort of washing out, or they go do that, and then they actually put themselves so far down the list that they're just not eating, and then they're trying to cram food in to a tiny window of opportunity, and it becomes, what snacky food can I get down as I watch a bit of TV in the evening when the kids have gone to bed?
Yeah.
Wash down with a glass of wine, which is, I would say, if you would like a glass of wine a night, that's fine. But pull it into the plan, as in, that is one of the non-negotiables you need to track first. Yeah. But as we know with alcohol, especially wine, it's carbs, and then there's those hollow alcohol calories of 7 calories per gram. So bear that in mind. But no, I think stay-at-home parents are the worst for getting enough food, especially when we've got young kids. If kids aren't in school or whatever, we run around after their kids, their activity levels are high. My mum used to be stacked. I always look back at my mum, and she always had good arm muscles because she was always picking up after. She had 4 kids, things to do. And so and that's what happens. But you've got to eat enough to make sure you're not going to make yourself ill, or you're just not going to.
Yeah, that is the most common thing. People are like, "Oh, I'm too busy," but your health is a priority over your work. It can fit in. It can fit in. You just have to find time. Like everybody has the right to 10 minutes to eat your meal. If
this is what I try to explain to people. I am like possibly one of the busiest people alive. Recently, like I've taken on this new job. I've been writing reports. Like the other day, I was finishing at 1 a.m. Right, but I still, and even when I go to meetings, I have my little bag, my little food holder, and they've got used to me cracking open a meal mid like meeting. Like we'll be there like I think at first I was like, right, Sam, I'm just gonna use your microwave. Sit there, we're talking, doing business stuff. But I'll always eat, so that I've got to eat, and everyone kind of knows.
Oh, that sounded like our internet. But yeah, no, that should be normalized. It's the same with counting and tracking your macros. People are like, oh, that's so obsessive. But you're like, why is that seen as a bad thing? Whereas going out and eating junk food every day is acceptable. It's like
whenever I leave the house, I pack my cooler bag, regardless of how long I'm going to be, just in case I get stuck. Your car breaks down, or you get caught in traffic. I always make sure I've got some meals with me, just in case. And even if I then come home with them and I eat them out of the Tupperware at home, that's fine. It doesn't bother me,
It's already been prepped and planned.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I guess people forget that you don't eat, you don't take care of yourself, then you get ill, or you can't do the same things you were saying you're too busy. And then it just becomes like a cycle. So you're always too busy, then you fall sick, you get well, you get too busy again, don't take care of yourself, fall sick. So it's you have to take care of yourself even if you're too busy. Your meals are important. Your body needs them.
Yep. Well, I hope everyone has enjoyed this season. We've had some great guest speakers, and I really enjoyed our macronutrients one. And can't believe it's the end of season 5, but we will be back with season 6. Oh my goodness. In a couple of weeks. So as always, thank you so much for your support, and we always welcome any suggestions or speakers, anybody you'd like us to interview, or any topics that you would like us to discuss. Do send them to us on our IG DMs or your platform of choice.
Yep. Like, share, review, comment. What's the other one?
Yeah, do all that.
All those things.
All that good stuff.
Comment, ring bells.
Yeah. We will see you in season 6.